Alright, so what I'll do first is create a plane, and for example I'm gonna set it to 400 by 400, but these are arbitrary values, they're not really cast in stone. And I'll set the length and width to 100 segments because I need the detail to be able to deform the object. So once I have this, I'll go to modify and add a displace modifier. Alright, and then under map I'll click and add a gradient map. I'll press M to open the material editor, and I'll drag the map over here, and I'll choose instance. Why? Because whenever I change the colors here, I want them also to change there. So I'll increase the strength right away, say to 150. I get a linear displacement because of the linear gradient, but once I make it a radial, that's what I would get. I'll set the amount to 0.3, and so that will break up the uniformity of the gradient. And I'll make it fractal to give it detail and increase the size and increase the levels. Alright, so there's my mountain. Now I want to create the texture, so I'll copy this gradient because I need the same form but change the colors. Select a new material, call it mountain, say, and assign it. And go down to maps and paste in a copy, not an instance, because here I need to change the colors and I don't want to affect these. So I'll show the map in viewport. Now here I can choose flat colors like I am doing now, or I can add textures, which will be better. So before I add the textures, if I increase the amount of the noise, I would have a better color separation, like this. Now I can go to the green color and add a bitmap here. So I will choose, for example, this texture. If I show it in the viewport, I see that I need to tile it, say 6 by 6. Go to parent. Now instead of the flat brown color, I'll select something else, say like this one. Again, I need to tile it. Alright, and go to parent again, and for the tip color up here, I will select a third map, say this one or that one, and again tile it. So now if I rendered this, that's what I would get, which is a good thing. Now I need to add bump to create a rough surface. So for that I'm gonna uncheck diffuse just to see what the bump is giving me, and then I will recheck it. So I'll go to bump, add smoke, and decrease the size, say to 20, give it a render. Alright, I'll swap the colors so that the bump direction will be reversed, so the bump or the rocks will appear to be protruding instead of going inwards. I can reduce the size a bit more, say 15, and then I will go to parent and recheck diffuse color to combine both together. Alright, so now I have this. I need to add the sky now, so I'm gonna select a nice view, say from here, and add a camera from this view. So I'll press Ctrl C, and there's camera 1 created for me. Alright, if I want to modify it, I can change the angle, say to 28, so that will give me a wider angle. And there, you remember that you can move the camera to change the view, and you can animate it, so you can start up and like a bird fly in like this. Alright, so now I need to add the water, so that would be a plane which I will create here all around. I don't need that many segments now because I'm not going to be deforming the water, so I'll go 20 by 20 for example. It's a good thing to name this water and name that one, let's say mountain. And I'm gonna create a sky and then add the material for the water. I can move the water up a little bit or move the mountain down. I can also create a shore, which is like this one but flatter with another material. Let's create the sky. For the sky, I'll go to rendering and environment, and I'll open the material editor. Under environment map, I'll choose gradient, and I'll drag it over anywhere. Choose instance, because when I change this one, I want that one to change too. And I'll choose the colors for the sky. Alright, so bluish. And then I'll copy this down and choose a lighter blue here. And then I have a very light brown, almost white. So if I render now, I have the sky, but I still need the material for the water. I'll fix the camera so that I see more of the sky. And I'll select the water and assign a material. But here, instead of standard, I need to choose ray trace. And I call this water. So I change the standard into ray trace for the water, and I'll select a dark blue color, bluish color. If I render now in the camera, it doesn't really reflect anything. So I will uncheck reflect and then recheck it until it says frenel. When it says frenel, it means that it's gonna reflect the way water reflects. But I don't have any waves yet. For the waves, I'll go to bump, none, and add noise. So bump means create roughness for the surface. What did I add in the bump? A noise map. What does the noise map look like? It looks like this. So it looks like waves. The white part will look like it's up and the black part looks like it's down. Alright, if I choose fractal, I get more detail. Always the word fractal means detail in 3D. So now when I render, I get waves, but they're too big. So I'll scale this down, say to 10. Still too big. Let's say 1. And these are the waves that are created. Now the last thing I'll do is add clouds up here. So I'll go back to this texture, and instead of the light blue, I'll choose light blue, almost white. And the third color, I'll choose it to be gray, which is the shading of the clouds. So if I rendered, I get this. I'm gonna make this a bit darker and break up the uniformity by increasing the noise amount. Say 0.5 fractal and increase the size. So see what's happening here when I increase the size. So if I rendered now, I get clouds, and these clouds will be reflected in the water. Now I want to move the clouds upwards a bit. This is done by moving the color 2 position. See what's happening now. By moving the color 2 position up, this is color number 2. If I move it up, I will have less blue and I will have the clouds higher. If I want more detail, I can increase the levels and I get more detail. And the last thing I'll do is animate the clouds. So I'll press auto key, go to frame 100, and the clouds are animated with the phase value. So I'll set the phase to 0.5 maybe, and I'll press play, and here I will see the speed of change. If I set it to 2 or 3, it will be too fast. So that's a good value here. The last thing I'll do is animate the water. So that's my bump map inside the water material. Again, I'll press auto key and change the phase. But here the phase needs to be changed a bit more than the clouds, because water moves faster than the clouds. So let's say 4. 4 is a good value. And if I render now, but I need to render, I will see that both. Here, if I increase the size just for a preview, I will see how the water is moving. Right? but I need to render to see it applied here. So let's keep that set to 1. And this is how you create a mountain, a water surface, and add clouds in the background and animate them.